Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, we are on, it's episode 77 today, and we have a great guest. And I'm going to see, though, if my music will play. So hang on. Oh, okay. I guess well, I'll try one more time.
Slow down, you move too fast. Gotta make the morning last. Kicking down the cobblestones. Looking for fun, feeling groovy. Ba da 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 dum, feeling groovy.
Yay! I pushed the right button and it worked.
Start the morning feeling
Yeah,
groovy,
that's
right?
right. That's right. Well, Sandy, what is your quote for today, or our quote for the day?
Well, the quote that I chose today was Steve Jobs. And he was the beginner of Apple and very successful business wise. But I had read an article when it was nearing the end of his life. He ended up at cancer, and he was regretting that had not spent more time with his family and with relationships. And so I think this is very interesting what he said. The most important thing is to enjoy your life, to be happy. It's all that matters. I think he was rethinking some of the choices he wished he would have put more effort into living life fully.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't buy those years back,
No.
Lakia. As busy and crazy as your life gets, and I'm sure it's not going to get any quieter for a while. But you really can't buy those years back. And kids are really good at being in the moment. And you know, in your face, mom. Let's be joyful. Let's make the cookies. Let's throw the ball. Yeah.
Yep.
So, Lakia, thank you so much for coming on. We know we had some scheduling issues, but we got them all worked out. In fact, I even sent her the text last night that said she had to be ready at quarter to 9, and she about fell over. And she reminded me that we have a time difference here. So thank you for that. Like I said, the time challenges can really be interesting when you're scheduling.
Well,
Anyway, Lakia is in the Philadelphia area, and she's going to tell us a little bit about kind of who she is and what she does.
Well, the short answer is I am a trainer and a consultant. But
Okay.
my kids always say, Mom, you have a lot of jobs. What is your job? Because I do own my own business, Star Training and Consulting, where I
Okay.
train and I consult. But I also still work for others. So I work for Education, Early Intervention Education Institute
Okay.
as a rapid response coach and a pre-K counts coach.
Okay.
So I still also work directly with facilities that I'm assigned to as a pre-K counts coach. And I'm also assigned specialized cases for children with challenging behavior to come in and provide tier 3 or intensive supports for the specific child or classroom.
Sure.
I also do CPR and first aid classes. So they'll see me hauling out my mannequins in my hauling bag.
you are one stop. Absolutely.
Yes. And then I also do serve safe training. So they hear me all the time about food safety, how they're storing things and how they're serving things. And it's hard for my husband to take me out to eat because I'm very picky because if I scan the room and I see certain things, I'm like, don't want to eat here.
Oh, you do have many official jobs, and then you of course have the list of jobs of being a mom.
Yes. Yes. And actually, I really appreciate the Steve Jobs quote because I just recently met with one of the biggest challenges, which was for me boundaries.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
which you have to have boundaries to have a good work-life balance, but also to have good business relationships and personal
Right.
relationships.
Right.
There was a time in my life where my kids saw the other side of my screen, and that was the interaction because
Yeah,
I was always working.
sure.
Um, Other clients interrupting other clients' time because they have my personal cell number or my
Mhm.
personal email. I'm concerned to get to them because I want to make sure that I'm maintaining their business because I'm a small business. It's just me.
Yeah,
But I learned to meet that challenge with those boundaries.
good for you.
And I actually had clients thank me and say that it's really good for business for me to do that.
Yeah,
And I see my kids much more now,
yeah,
able to spend that time with them much more now.
yeah. For you, that quote was for all of us, but that's wonderful that you're working on that. And it's so common when you are in, I mean, we're all in customer service, and you think when you're young that you need to be all things to all people. And it's not possible, and you're actually setting a good example for the people that you work with and for your husband and your daughters, that those boundaries keep you balanced, and you can do more with a full cup than an empty cup. And you want to keep yourself healthy.
Lakia, I'm curious. How did you start setting boundaries? What was the process of doing that? Because once you've kind of let the cattle out of the gate, how do you get them back in? Tell me how that worked.
Honestly, it was an email blast that
Okay.
included
Okay.
a link to contact,
Hmm,
timelines, turnaround time for how long it would take me to get back to them. Because
good.
not
Mm-hmm.
everyone's emergency should be my emergency. And if they put themselves in that
Right.
position, I can't be the one to come and save them. So,
That's
48
Right.
hours. The cancellations, I put in my new cancellation policy. You can't cancel up to a week ahead, or just like as they do in business, I said, unless you have an emergency note. Do you have
Right.
something from your emergency responders? Do you have something for a maintenance? Did you have a contractor come in? Let me see that invoice. Doctor's note. I need to see why you really needed to cancel.
yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
updated prices, all of those things. I blasted it out and I set a deadline. So I gave them some time to adjust.
Right. Right.
It's about a month. So I gave them a due date, a
Yeah.
deadline. And then within that month, I said, this is the amount of time you're gonna have to still contact me the same way, only for questions, comments, concerns.
Mhm.
So they were able to get it out of their system. And I did. I'm glad I did that month because there were people, oh, I need a training in 2 days. Um, oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
All my staff CPR expired. I need somebody. And that's where I'm able to say, well, the deadline's coming up. And I need you to understand that
Right.
these are examples of things
Yeah.
that aren't going to be happening anymore. You'll
Mhm.
need to call someone else because I won't be able to help you.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Did you have to set boundaries at home too with your kids and your hubby?
Yes. So I do have working hours, and then my husband and I now offset each other.
Oh,
So when he is working, I am not,
Oh,
and vice versa. So we
well,
were able to work that out. So
good.
if, for example, if I do have an evening training, I won't schedule that unless he's off. So
okay.
we are physically here.
Awesome.
Well, you
Good.
have to get creative with childcare because it is so expensive nowadays. You got to figure it out. Plus, it's healthier for the kids because they know there's a setup. Other mom and dad are available most of the time. One or the other. So I think that helps to strengthen their emotional development.
I also implemented at home set times on a weekly basis. So I actually have four kids. I have a boy who is turning 20 in January.
Oh,
And then I
wow.
have my 15-year-old, 9-year-old, and 7-year-old girls. And so, because the girls are younger and they're kind of with me all the time, they each get their own half hour a week to
Mm-hmm.
spend time with just me
That's,
Mhm.
and just my husband.
that's cool. Yeah, I love that.
Then the
Individual
older
time.
kids,
Mhm.
yes, and then the older kids get an hour because they don't really get that time.
Right.
Sure.
And so, personally, those boundaries have been helpful because it really brings them in, and they're able to think of the things that they meant to say or things that have
Mhm.
been on their mind. We don't necessarily do things like we might go somewhere, go on a walk, go on a hike, have a picnic. We have done things like go to entertainment centers or miniature golfing, but it doesn't always have to be spending money. We've done game times together, cooked together. But then that way I'm giving them their individual time, but then the family time as well.
Yeah, they don't feel left out. So what springboarded this? Did you see it in action with someone else? Did you just get fed up? What was the, you know,
Well, honestly, I was getting fed up.
okay.
Um,
Feeling
and
stressed.
my children were showing signs that they were. So the younger one started being more aggressive. The 9-year-old started seeming more weepy.
Mm,
My 15-year-old started to not talk, found out she
yeah.
wanted to kill herself. My oldest son said, I know I'm an adult, but, you know, you never have time for me. And then when I talk to you, you seem irritated because everybody's in your face and there's no time.
Yeah.
And so I talked to a child therapist who
Mhm.
said they each need their time, even though you have everybody needs time. So I'm like, okay, I have time for my husband. I have time for my kids, each individually. I also have time for myself. You gotta have time for
You
yourself.
Right,
do. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Sometimes late at night when everybody else is in bed and you can have some space for yourself and kind of rethink or know what you want to do or just sit back and do nothing but watch something on TV. Yeah,
But you can't be so
but it's important to
exhausted
have your own
that you don't
space.
take the time, and like you said, you started to see the signs, which is really important. And some people wait to get sick, so it really is important, and you're setting a good example. And someday when you have some professional time in that time slot, you might want to think about teaching a class. Or maybe that's what your podcast will be about if you have a podcast, you know.
Yeah, I don't like chaos in my life because then I don't feel like I'm doing anything well. And I definitely feel that if I can kind of write it out, and I do the old fashioned day timer. I still use that even being retired because I want to lay it out and I want to be able and actually there's something about writing stuff down that helps you remember better your brain. But yeah, I don't want to end up letting somebody down because I double booked or whatever. And like you said, your relationships at home are the most important thing, and then your business is in that, and to be able to balance it out is easy.
Mm-mm. No, and in fact, on LinkedIn, I've got a gal coming on sometime in November. I can't remember. I just booked her. Her name is Tash Durkin, and she just wrote a great article. I don't know if I posted it on our website, but it's about the science behind rest and how important that is. I mean, if you think that, oh my God, I'll do this and then I'll rest, that your brain works much better if you rest and then do it. So it really goes back to the neuroplasticity.
And
So
like,
go ahead, Sandy.
yeah, when you get to be our age, you will do that naturally, and you're going to take a rest. When I was a kid, it was like you get your work done before you play. That ain't the way it works anymore.
Right.
Pause, take a break. Now go do my next project.
Yeah,
Pause, take a break.
yeah, yeah. So I'm curious because one of our series that we've done on Meeting on the Bridge has been a series on entrepreneurship. And it sounds like you're definitely an entrepreneur. I kind of want to hear that journey. But I want to go back a little further because I'm hunching this is true of most entrepreneurs. You've been an entrepreneur since you were a kid. Maybe not. Huh?
So, me as a child, I just always wanted to work in childcare. I never, well, in education, I never changed that I wanted to be a teacher. So, I mean, from the youngest I can remember, what do you want to be? A teacher.
Mhm.
My sister always said a dentist. And as we got older, um, I learned I did not, in college, I learned I didn't want to be in secondary education. I didn't want to be in elementary. So I had a summertime job at the Salvation Army and ended up falling in love with childcare. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to work in childcare. Um, and as most people do, I worked in childcare in every position possible. So, from
Yeah,
janitorial to food service, I drove the bus, I still have my CDL. I just wanted to learn everything there was about it. And then after I had my second child, I realized I didn't want to be in a classroom anymore. So then I went and switched over to the administrative side. And from there, I learned how many administrators know the paperwork but don't know the people.
yeah,
Like they seem removed from it. And even when people transition from a teacher, they have a better recollection and background in what it feels like to be a teacher. But after all of the demands that are put on them as an administrator, they tend to forget about the people.
yeah,
So I tried to navigate bettering myself to be more of a collaborative administrator, more democratic administrator.
yeah.
Um, and from there, I actually took a lot of different feedback from my staff at various places that I worked,
Mhm.
including some that had more of an aggressive communication style.
No.
And just learned to handle
Mhm.
people and meet people where they were,
Mhm.
but also recognizing through those years all the professional development I took,
Mhm.
and I didn't retain a whole lot of it. I planned on it. I walked away with the intent to, but the drive would kind of fall apart.
Sure.
And so I started reflecting on what the disconnect could be. Realistically, it had to be realistic, it had to be memorable, and it had to meet all of the learning styles, which most didn't at that time.
Sure.
Now, um, I got to the point where people started saying you should have your own child care center. So I did that, but I
Mhm.
couldn't sit still. And so from opening my own child care center, I kind of said, well, I think I've reached the peak of what I can do in child care, except teach people
Mhm.
child care, teach people what it is they should be doing, but make it more interactive. I want my audience to say, yeah, well, that doesn't work for me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Why do you think that doesn't work for you? Someone else chime in, well, I tried. And so more of a, again, collaborative, reflective conversation so people can walk away with not just information but
Mhm.
a network, feeling supported, feeling they can do it. They're motivated to go back to the classroom and not just apply information and
Mhm.
strategies, but apply something new.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of brought me into entrepreneurship.
Well, it sounds like it's been a path because when you said you couldn't sit still when you were in a building, you know what I mean, and you full of ideas. And one of the hardest things, it's not hard, but one of the rarest things we see is somebody who's good at adult learning. And usually school administrators are not. They're good at just, you sit in the meeting and you do the head bobble because everyone's so boring. You know what I mean? No, nobody actually listens to what you need. Nobody uses all we know about learning. Nobody uses it. And so good for you. I mean, you sound awesome. I'm surprised it took me a year to find you.
Thank you. So I always get feedback that I didn't know you did that, and I didn't know you were here, or I didn't know you were around. And I say that's because I don't market and I don't talk about myself, and that's just that's something I'm working on. Like being in the room and I just stay quiet amongst
Uh-huh,
other.
uh-huh.
I look at other people as leaders. I look at other people as great individuals that have great information, and I don't want to take over the room. So I stay quiet. And so if you need it and you directly ask me, hey, do you know anybody? I do, me. But I won't say, oh, hey, if you're ever looking for someone too, that's me.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Right,
what
right.
I'm hearing is that you're an excellent listener and you pull from your students what they need and then you meet that need. And that's
Absolutely.
authentic learning and listening. And from teaching about marketing, the best marketing tool is a loyal customer. So I'm wondering if I mean, you probably don't have a whole lot of room for your schedule, even though you want to build, and I don't think that you want to hire people. That's not usually then you go back to have to being an administrator. But no, congratulations. And that is the key and the secret. And that's what's going, loyal customers are going to spread the word. So you don't have to spend money. Now you're your own marketer, but yeah, yeah,
One of the things, one of the beauties, Lakia, of what you did in your career, in your life, is that you learned from the bottom up
mhm,
and you worked your way through. And I think that gives so much wisdom because you've been there, done that. You know what it's like to be in a training that is not effective. You can learn from what you don't want to do, not just what you want to do, but what you don't want to do. And I think that you gained that because you did all these things, you wore all these hats, and it gave you opportunity to put yourself in their shoes and know what you didn't want to do going forward, and that's what's made you so successful.
absolutely, absolutely. So you've instituted these boundaries, which is really going to give you kind of newfound energy and power, really. So let's peek through the curtain. What's next for you? What do you want to do next, or what do you want to enrich or expand from what you're already doing?
Think I have really thought beyond what else. I know I've been trying to dig deeper into challenging behaviors over
Mhm.
the past 2 years, um, because there was a time there wasn't as many, at least that I'm aware of, children that were being referred for developmental services, but not just developmental, behavioral.
Right.
um, and what it looks like to be equipped with that. I mean, there's tools out there, inclusion trainings and toolboxes, but I
Mhm.
really am digging into all of the information and trying to figure out what makes sense on the ground level. um,
Right,
I did do special instruction through early intervention. I did that to learn that side of it, from the home,
Sure.
learn about IEPs and IFSPs being part of, not just part of that team, but in those meetings,
Mhm.
writing those plans. So I did that intentionally to learn it. Doing rapid response now, not just doing, the surface level of the pyramid model, but straight to those intensive supports, seeing how that works per child, but also globally how's that going to work inside of a classroom.
Mhm.
So really digging deeper into that to be able to bring out that information to providers who feel ill-equipped
Yeah.
to handle the
Yeah.
challenging behavior. I hear it all the time from the teachers. I didn't go to school for this.
right.
I don't know mental health. I don't know special needs. I know childcare. I know how to care for a child in their development. And although social emotional development is development, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what I have been working on personally. Um, and then I have been thinking about getting my doctorate degree and doing work on circle time. A lot of child care centers, like, they're committed to
Mm.
circle time and believe strongly in circle time, and like if they don't have circle time, it like ruins the day. um so I really want to do more study on how effective is circle time.
Mm. Yeah, have data to support that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great
Well,
question.
again, if it could be interactive, like, yeah, early childhood education is my background also. And I was a teacher, became an administrator, became a director, and then became a coordinator for Head Start ECAP. And I think that circle time has so much value if you keep it short and sweet and you make it effective for kids so that they are not just sitting on their bottoms listening. I mean, there's times when you can get them, if you're thinking about how to get their yayas out and get them going, and then they're ready to sit for a few minutes while you maybe read a story or whatever. I mean, I think I agree with you. There's a lot of ways that you can still make that happen and do it in a way that's more developmentally appropriate instead of having them sit for 30 minutes or whatever and expect them to behave themselves and not wrestle with their neighbor and all the other stuff that happens
Yeah,
in circle time.
that's a really
So,
good question for a doctoral thesis. And what you guys
it
were
would be really good.
talking, part of leadership is facilitation. And that's one of the things that even in principal training, they don't teach you how to facilitate. And it isn't rocket science, but you do have to set it up. Sort of like your boundaries, where you have to set up it. And I'm hunching that as teachers learn how to facilitate preschoolers, little kids, then they can learn to be facilitators of learning, which you should be as a teacher. Um, that's a fascinating. Now you just need to find a university who will let you do your action research through your work, and that shouldn't be too hard. Um, and we've got a gal that's with us a lot. Her name's Mishkat Almomen, and she believes that communication is all about listening. She's quite a fantastic lady, but she also is an expert grant writer, and she wants to come on and do a little podcast on teaching people how to write the grant that they need. So you might get to write a grant, and that'll help you pay for that college.
That would be helpful. That's really the whole back, which doctor program is going to fit my needs, and then also cost wise, because to
Yep.
cover that
Yep.
is pretty
Right.
That would be good.
Right.
We'll connect you with Mishkat. She's a fascinating lady. So anyway, so we're going to kind of wrap it up here. And what we do is we go around and answer the question, what's one takeaway from this conversation today? So we'll let you, Lakia, start. What's one takeaway from this conversation?
say the takeaway for me from this conversation was to continue to think about what else you're going to do. There is no ceiling. Because when you ask me that question, I'm like, I don't think there's anything. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, there has been. I just don't place a whole lot of emphasis on it. But I need to keep focused on those things and keep going.
Okay. Well, you need any coaching. I'm a coach and I'm available. So you came on here, I'll coach you anytime you want. But yeah, I'm actually thinking that someday you might expand your business to include some people who can do what you do. And that's the hardest part about hiring somebody, because it's got your name on it. And you want it to be, you know, you want it to look like you and not like someone else. So,
Yeah.
Sandy, take away.
It's always a good reminder. Lakia, she bit the bullet, got things figured out so that she could set the stage for success for the people she works with, but also her family life. And I love that. And I love the artwork that you have behind you, Lakia, because that means that you took time, efforts, and posted them. And I think there's not any more important thing than raising good human beings, and I think it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job of that. That you came around and said, okay, these are some things I need to do, and you got the help you needed. I love that because you were willing to talk to somebody and say, there's some issues. What, and like you said, learning as you go, right?
Yeah.
Awesome job.
Yeah. Well, my takeaway is you came on the podcast. I didn't know much about you, and it was like a beautiful blooming flower because you just layer, blooming and blooming and blooming, and I just see so much possibility and excitement. And part of the reason I'm calling you an entrepreneur is because you see a need, and then all of a sudden in your mind you strategically develop a program to meet that need, and that's why your business has expanded. You're basically the full meal deal to anybody around childcare. And so that's great. That's great. Okay, well, thank you. Come on again, to either tell us what you're up to or to teach us a mini class or something. You're awesome. And we'll keep in touch. And if you would like, please text me your website and I'll put it in the notes, which I'll probably get to in another couple hours. Okay. All right.
Lakia, it
Well,
was wonderful meeting you, my dear. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
yes, yes. We just so enjoy all educators, but early childhood educators have a special place in our heart because they're just very, very special. So,
Well,
all right.
it's early
All right.
intervention. The sooner you can help a baby, it'll be.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to push the button and it takes a few minutes, but hang tight.